Okay, we're live for our second live on Twitter, on X, and hopefully I've got this thing figured out where I'll be able to talk and correspond with you guys. So let's see, somebody shoot me out a little something. In the beginning is always a good time to ask any questions or make any statements that you want me to talk about. And then we'll get started with the preview. Gave you guys, always great. Want to have all you guys listen in. You're not going to get any spot on X, on Instagram, on any social media with more sports betting information than you are here. It's because I really do this. Really done this my whole life. Over 40 years in the business, and I'm not talking as some tout. I'm talking as a teenager, literally starting to learn the business. My old man, a bookmaker, one of the biggest back in New York back in the day. I was already running parlay tickets as a teenager, would get called into the office to answer the phones on weekends, and then at the highest levels of sports betting, actually moving the NBA lines at Chris on the overnights. So I've got a real history. So I'm going to come here each weekday, 11 o'clock Eastern, and give you that information. Today, I've got 3 bets. If you listen in, you'll get all 3 of them free. Yes, the lines have moved because that's what I do, and that's the benefit of being a member. Again, we talked yesterday. I sent out to my members Nets +8, and I sent that out on Monday for yesterday's game. That game closed 5.5, depending on your book. Nets basically winning the whole game, going to overtime and lose it. But we cover. That game lands 5, which actually what was the closing number, basically 5. The other game that I gave out was the Pelicans. So unfortunately, if you didn't get the right number on the Nets, you didn't bet it, and then you catch the Pelicans as the one loser, that's the benefit of being a member. You guys are going to want to be a member. So see, we only got 9 people in here listening. I thought we were at 100 yesterday. Somebody sent me a message. Let me see if I'm doing something right. If not, I'll come back and restart this. Can I get a message? Did I not do it right? Thought I'd be able to send a message. There we go. Pelicans, man, hard to get a read on them. Not hard. They're not a good team. Aaron Hutchinson is somebody that followed me over from Instagram, long-time follower. So Pelicans made a decision. They let Valanciunas go. He's their big. They got DeJounte Murray. They really don't have a point guard. Having McCollum handle the ball, Ingram handle the ball, Zion playing some point forward. Jason, how are you? I'm glad we got these turned on. Great. Then you go and lose DeJounte Murray in the first game, in the opener. So now you got no big and you have no point guard. So they're not where they were last year. Still thought they would be good enough to beat the Warriors without the Golden State Warriors' top 2 scorers. No Curry, no Wiggins. They're taking a big chunk out of that team. Buddy, you got to let Buddy Hield shoot 7 for 11 from 3. Come on, guys. Pelicans have a 20-point second quarter lead in that game. Again, Warriors without their 2 best players. Their two top scorers, let's not say their best players. Without their 2 top scorers, they shot 54% for the game. They out-rebounded the Warriors 44-34, and they lost the game by 18. When you look at the stats, you say, how did this happen? And well, why it happened is because 23 turnovers, and that goes in direct alignment with not having a point guard. Got to have a point guard, guys. This is what happened to Phoenix last year. You got KD, you got Booker, you got Beal. That's great. No true point guard there. You got to have a point guard. You need somebody to run the show. And right now, Pelicans don't have that. That being said, in that game, you'll want to listen to the NBA rundown as we do have a pick in that game. But so we split them out last night. Actually went 1-2, but our big bet, what is now our biggest bet of the year was the Nets +8. That's just a wrong line. Denver coming off overtime and then gets forced into overtime again last night. So Denver will finish up their trip tomorrow night at Minnesota. Friday night at Minnesota after 2 overtimes. So at least they'll get a little break. Earth to God, thank you. Welcome in. Earth to God, another Instagram follow. We hope to build this, guys, that the way we never were able to build it on Instagram. Instagram was a fucking disaster. Had me shadow banned. So hopefully on X, we'll and I appreciate you guys that are retweeting. If you guys retweet, we're going to set something up for the guys that are retweeting, like give you guys a free week or something. So I appreciate the guys that were free retweeting the live. I really appreciate that. Balbito, another guy from IG. How you doing, my man? I recognize all the names, guys. So I appreciate that. Anyway, let's get started. I can't see the messages, Balbito. I can't see them. NBA. We've got the conclusion of a home-and-home series. That's Atlanta Hawks at the Wizards. Remember, Monday night, we had the Wizards at Atlanta +8 points. Wizards win it on the floor. Didn't need the points. Now they go back to Washington. And again, we call that a home-and-home series. Atlanta sitting right now 4.5, 5-point favorite, depending on your sports book. Two teams that are absolutely crushed by injuries. So Atlanta was already without DeAndre Hunter and Bogdanovich. Okanagan did not play the last game. He'll be back, but Daniels is going to be out. Daniels has stepped in to play the 2, the off guard with Trey Murray at the point. So he's going to be out. And Wizards, Kyle Kuzma finally gets on track, has a big night in Atlanta, and he's going to be out for Washington. So you got a whole mess over here. This is Atlanta or nobody in these home and home series or these 2-game sets, similar to we've had 2 2-game sets prior. We had Portland at New Orleans. Pelicans winning the first game at Portland, and then Portland winning the second game. We had Houston at San Antonio. San Antonio winning the first game, and then Houston winning the second game. So these 2-game sets, back-to-back sets, unless there's a total domination or, when the two teams are even, it's tough to beat the same team back-to-back nights. So that's going to be the chore for Washington. Washington is the worst team in the NBA, and now no Kyle Kuzma, and that's where you get Atlanta. Atlanta, I believe, is 1-11 against the spread. Their last 12 games, obviously, that dates back to last year, but can't bet them at this number, but it's Atlanta or nobody in this situation. Lakers go to Cleveland, and that means LeBron goes home. Everybody should know, if you don't, LeBron, against the Cavs in his career, 19-3, and that includes 9-2 in Cleveland. Granted, Cleveland's a different team now. Cleveland, normally a downtrodden team when LeBron leaves them, but this is a different Cleveland team. Watch this game against the Knicks. Cleveland guys, they're for real. They're healthy. Remember, banged up last year. Everybody healthy right now. Struss is out. That will help them even more from shooting 3-pointers. But Cleveland, a good basketball team. Lakers off to a really good start. They got us with the Sacramento game a few nights back because LeBron has an insane game. But then LeBron goes to Phoenix and looks like a 40-year-old, come out like a 3 for 15 or something. It's just a horrible night. And that, my friends, is what we call a look ahead. There's no way, after LeBron coming off the huge game against Sacramento, goes to Phoenix, and his next game happens to be at Cleveland. You know he's looking ahead to Cleveland. That was just a good spot for Phoenix. Phoenix had lost in L.A. Now they were getting them back in their house. You knew they wanted that game. And after a big lead the Lakers took, the Phoenix come back to win that game. So LeBron, eyes on going back to Cleveland. He's owned them in the past. but this is a different Cleveland team. I don't make the number this high. The number is either 4.5 or 5, but we've got questionable status on D'Angelo Russell, so we'll see if he's going to be in. This is a tough game. Like I said, you've got a Laker team now, 4th game in 6, but this is also 4th and 6 for Cleveland. LeBron owns them. That this is a different Cleveland team. Celtics at Indy. Here's your first free bet, guys, and this one was a no-brainer for me. Pacers plus 7.5 at home. We sent this out first thing this morning. They were fooling around with the line back and forth yesterday, but this is playoff revenge. Celtics swept the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals last year, but in doing so, the 2 games played at Indiana, they won both games each by 3 points. They played 3 regular season games in Indiana. Indiana won 2 of the 3. Expect the Pacers to show up. Off to a tough start, losing 3 of their first 4 games. But this is a playoff revenge game. They'll have their ears pinned back for this one. Now, Miles Turner, questionable, and that's why the number is so high. But at 7.5, even if Turner is out, this is worth the take. Playoff revenge, always one of the angles that we look for. I went with the Pacers in this one. This game right now down to 7. We'll see where this one ends up. Toronto at Charlotte, your next game on the card. And in this game, you've got a mangled Toronto team. Just when they get R.J. Barrett back in the lineup for the Minnesota game, he'd missed the first couple of games. You'll lose Scotty Barnes. Still out, Emmanuel Quickly. So you got a banged up Toronto team going to Charlotte. Charlotte's still missing 2 of their starters. Miller, the sensational rookie from last year, and Williams, the center. So 2 guys out. A lot of injuries, guys. NBA key. You've got to be on top of the injuries. The injuries affect the lines, and that's what you want to do. You want to beat the number. Remember, you beat the number, you beat the game. And that's what we're going to do in every single game. Bet 3 games today, we beat the number on all 3. Toronto, Charlotte, like I said, you've got a Toronto team now coming in beat up. The edge that Charlotte has is they lost their last game at home and have been off for 3 days since the game they lost against Miami. We had Miami in that game, and they beat them and covered. But now 3 full days off. Ball was a little iffy going into that game. He should be healthy, ready to run. He's off to a great start. So we'll see what happens in that game. 6.5, again, a little bit high, but not looking to jump on Toronto. What I will say is the Raptors have won 7 of the last 8 meetings, 5-3 against the spread, 3-1 in Charlotte. Second free bet coming at you, guys. We're going to do this for the first week or so. Give you guys these games just so we get acclimated on Twitter. I'm on the Philadelphia 76ers. It's Detroit at the 76ers. Yes, I know Paul George is out. Yes, I know Joel Embiid is out. With that said, this is what we call ownership. Philadelphia has won the last 8 overall meetings, 7-1 against the spread. But better yet, they've won the last 12 at Philly, 11-1 against the spread. And you get it? Those guys are out. Even with them out, you got a Detroit team, hasn't won a game yet. They've only covered 1 game. The game we bet, Pistons plus 8.5, and they lost by 8 at Miami. This is their 4th city in 6 days, while the 76ers, they've been rested since a big overtime win Sunday afternoon at Indiana. So learning to play a little more without Embiid and George. We laid 3.5 on this game, sent this out this morning, and this game's sitting right now at 4 or 4.5, again, depending on your book. Knicks in Miami. Knicks had a little scare. Brunson left his last game against the Cavs, and as I said, Cavs, watching the Cavs play, Cavs are for real. Knicks are a solid team, especially at home. Cavs got the money, but Hart wasn't 100%. He's got a questionable tag on him today. Brunson's not showing up in the injury report, but he did leave the last game. They'll go down to Miami. Miami, we bet against them at home last time. 8 points was too many points for them to be laying. Miami just tends to play those close games. Kind of skews their home and road rating. With that being said, they're a better road team than they are at home. But they've had the Knicks number in Miami. Knicks for the longest time, Brooklyn and New York always, well, it was almost like a home game for them. So many transplants, New York transplants down in Florida, but that's kind of leveled off. Miami now has won the last 5 in Miami against the Knicks, going 4-1 against the spread. I think the number's right where it should be, unless something big happens. Hard out, Brunson out, the number moves. This will be a game to just sit and watch. Miami looking better now since that disaster in Orlando. Remember, we had them at Charlotte. We bet Miami. We bet against them at home. So that's kind of a trend, and that's what's reflected. If you're a Massa Edge member, and guys, if you're not, Massa Edge, it's where you want to go. $299 a month, the best sports betting information you're going to get anywhere. And this way you get notifications sometimes a day before the game starts, 36 hours before the game starts. And that's how we're able to beat numbers by 2, 3, and sometimes 4 points. But the ratings suggest that Miami's better on the road. Just look what they've done. Lose at home to the Magic, go on the road, win and cover at Charlotte, win against the Pistons, but don't cover at home. Let's see how that trend continues on. Orlando is at the Chicago Bulls. Orlando coming off a huge game by Banchero, their last game out. And that was against Indiana. What happened there was Wagner, I guess. I call him Wagner. And I'm going to mispronounce names, so don't get on me for mispronouncing any names. But Wagner, questionable the entire day. Then he was out, then he was in. He winds up playing, but he obviously still wasn't right. He only played, I think, about 15 minutes, something like that, and they pulled him out of the game. He was ill. He's supposedly back today. We'll wait and see. Bulls, they got injury issues of their own. Smith, the power forward, looks he's questionable. And Ball, this kid just can't stay healthy. He's going to be out at least another 10 days. And now it's the wrist. It's not the knee. It's the wrist. Anyway, that being said, Magic have won the last 5 meetings. Won and covered the last 5 meetings with the Bulls. They've won and covered the last 4 at Chicago. They won all 4 last year. But the 2 games at Chicago last year was by a combined 8 points. Hey, John, I need a hand in here. What are you doing, buddy? So you guys, you could see I am actually at my son's house, and I got this little guy with me. So pardon the interruption, but we'll forge ahead with this. We've got the Magic, as I said, going to Chicago. Okay, Grandpa's gonna do work, and then I'm gonna do it for you later. As I said, you've got the Magic going to Chicago, where they've won the last 5, won their last 4 times. Sorry for the distraction, guys. But again, I can't get this number up that high. Chicago, couple of nice W's. We were on them the other night at Memphis. As soon as we got the info that Ja Morant would be out, we took Bulls +5. They were down a ton in that game. Come all the way back, they get a W. They've got a W at Milwaukee. So the Bulls not as bad as everybody thinks. They lost DeRozan. They're definitely down from last year. But at plus the points at home, to me, it's Bulls and nobody, despite Magic having the success that they've had against them. Brooklyn, Memphis, another injury game. We'll got to wait and see what the info is going to be on Ja Morant. He sat out the last game. By him sitting out, that's what made us make a bet on the Chicago Bulls. Excuse me, guys. So we'll wait to see the story with Ja Morant. The rookie Eddie, having a little bit of a rough time so far in the NBA. An adjustment, absolutely. He's questionable for the Nets. After a tough overtime game last night, they've already said that Claxton is out. So Claxton's been coming off the bench. Claxton, a nice player. That Nets starting lineup is not terrible, and that's why we've been on the Nets a couple of games already. And we were on them last night. But Claxton, they've been limiting him. He will not play tonight. Ben Simmons did not play last night. We'll see if he plays tonight, being that he was rested last night. I would expect him to play. The big news there is Ja Morant. Does Ja play? In the last 2 years, the teams have met 4 times. They've split 4, each winning once on the road and once at home. So no big edge there. San Antonio, OKC, and if you guys were with me from the beginning of the year, obviously you would have to be with me over on Instagram. I told everybody, I'm not there with San Antonio yet. I see Wemby's going to be obviously a year better, more improved. Bringing Chris Paul, that's going to make you a better team. But Vassell out and Trey Jones, your backup point guard, two guys that. So I can't jump their rating where it seems everybody's got them. They're still the San Antonio Spurs struggling, and you're in Oklahoma City, and unless your name is the Boston Celtics, you're the best team in the NBA. Oklahoma City, there's no question, the number 2 team in the NBA after the Celtics. Pounded the Hawks in their last game last night. This series, OKC has won 6 of the last 7. They won the last 2, both last year, in OKC by a combined 74 points. This is if they want to punish them, they'll punish them. San Antonio plays up in Utah tomorrow. So when you have a situation like this, let's just say OKC gets out to that big lead. If you're Popovich, do you keep Wemby? Do you keep your guys out on the court, Chris Paul? Or do you raise the white flag and go try to knock off Utah, which is, Utah right now looks like it's San Antonio, Portland, Utah, 3 of the worst teams. So maybe a team that you can come up and steal a W on the road. I actually make this game a little bit higher. This game is actually ticked down. It went up to 13 and now it's ticked down to 12 or 12 and a half. To me, it's Thunder or nobody, and I'm not betting the Thunder. It's not one of my actual bets. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to get used to this stuff, so bear with me. So, yeah, OKC, not one of my actual bets, but I'm definitely not interested in San Antonio. Here's our third and final bet that I've made so far. Now, when I say final bet, obviously anything can happen. We can add something. There could be an injury, as we did the other night. We get the Ja Morant info out, and we bet the Bulls, so anything can happen. Got to help me, John. I've got Pelicans in another back-to-back situation, one of the 2-game sets that we've talked about. And even though Herb Jones, he left the game last night, and he's a big part. He's a guy that plays D. You need him because, again, you got no Valanciunas. He left before the year started. DeJounte Murray plays that first game, gets injured, so they're going to be short-handed. Pelicans didn't log a lot of minutes last night. Zion had a real good game. They've been bringing him along slowly. My only fear is Zion in a back-to-back. I just feel they've got to play him. They got to come out with a W. Now, they've already split the first series that they had in Portland. This is the second of a 2-game set that they're going to have in Golden State. Golden State, we know, is going to be without Curry. Questionable is Wiggins tonight. And I took +3 on this one. This game's sitting at 2.5 right now, but I would have to take this one. And the last game is Portland and the Clippers. Just give me a sec, guys, as we're always watching and looking for info here. So the move is right now, and they're hitting the Pacers right now, knocking that line down good. Zion, what was that? Okay, they disappear. So as I'm saying, there, if you look right now, you'll see Celtics now down to 6.5 at most of the sports books. Bouncing back and forth, actually. BetOnline just went to 7, but you got to lay 115 with the Pacers. Guys, when I give you a game, that's the side. The Pacers are the side. It's a playoff revenge game. The number's too high. We love it if Turner is in. If Miles Turner's out, still like the Pacers in that game. Let's get this last game out of the way, and then I'm going to let you guys tell me what you want to hear. You got Portland at the Clippers is the final game. And although this is another ownership, Clippers have won the last 9 meetings, 6-3 against the spread. They won all 4 games last year. They've won 9 straight at home. Now, I'm going to say 9 straight at home, but remember, Clippers now playing in their own arena. They shared, I still call it the Staples Center with the Lakers for all those years. They're in their own spot. If anybody saw the opening game against Phoenix, the guy's a zillionaire. He built a $2 billion arena. So they'll be playing home for the second time. But as when LA's been the home team, they've won the last 9 games, 7-2 against the spread versus the Trailblazers. Clippers, a little better than I thought. Look, they lose Paul George. Paul George walks. No Kawhi Leonard to start the season. Harden, Zubac, Powell, they're doing enough. They gave Phoenix Suns all they could handle, and they took them to overtime in the first game. And then they come up with a couple of nice road wins going to Denver and Golden State. Those are nice road wins. Do the Clippers fall asleep? Or do they get caught looking ahead? Phoenix comes back in tomorrow. Remember, I just said Phoenix beat them there in their own place on opening night. So after a couple of big road wins, do the Clippers look ahead to tomorrow's game with Phoenix, take their foot off the gas? Portland is the worst team in the West. I've got the Wizards, the worst team in NBA. Earth to God, 120 plus views. That's what's up. Best in the game, second to nobody. Appreciate that, Earth to God. Sorry I didn't move over to X sooner, guys. We were stuck on this Instagram disaster, but never again. That's it. Like I says, I will use Instagram like the $2 hooker that she is. We'll post some posts on there and try to move all our guys over here to X. And remember, we'll be here each weekday, 11 o'clock Eastern. Best sports bet info you're going to get. I'm going to leave it up to you guys for some questions. We're going to go, while I'm talking about the World Series, we're going to give you that World Series breakdown. I'm going to allow you guys to tell me what you want next. When you get a chance, thoughts on World Series coming at you right now, Earth to God. Here's the thoughts. I thought the Yankees were dead yesterday. And I mean that wholeheartedly. Down 3-0. Just didn't see a path for them yesterday. Freeman, what the fuck? Freddie Freeman. Another home run. Has homered in each game of the series. Had 6 straight. He's insane. But they bounce back off of you would think that puts the dirt on them. They're burying the coffin now. But they bounce back. They could come back with a big win. So with that 11 spot that they score, they've actually evened up the amount of runs that the two teams have scored now, each scoring 18. Obviously, Dodgers with a 3-1 lead, big advantage. I mean, everything points to the Dodgers for the series, obviously. Anything can happen, guys. We saw the Warriors come back from down 20 without their top 2 scorers. If Sports have told you, there's a move right now, guys. Also, Lakers getting the money, which tells me D'Lo is probably in, because no way you're going to want to jump on the Lakers on the road without D'Lo. But with D'Lo in, with LeBron's record, Cleveland playing good ball. But that number was a little too high, but there's the move there. I'm not on that one. Getting back to this World Series game, as I said, Dodgers now still a commanding 3-1 lead. Dodgers 9-3 in the postseason since being down 2-1 San Diego. So when we talk about your record in the postseason, remember you're playing all playoff teams. So that 9-3 record goes against finishing the series against San Diego, beating the Mets, and now with a 3-1 lead on the Yankees. The bats, like I said, they have slowed down a little bit. Dodgers were absolutely crushing the ball. End of that Padres series, the entire Mets series. Bats have cooled off a little bit. Remember, Freeman hits a grand slam in extra innings. So that first game against Cole pretty much had them on the ropes. Now, Boone has taken a lot of heat. You took him out too soon, 80-something pitches. You just hope he don't leave him too long this time. We'll see what happens. Cole's been real solid. Postseason numbers now, he's 1-0, but the team has won 3 of his 4 games, 2.82 ERA, 2 of the 4 starts are quality starts. Problems is guys, the 2 non-quality starts were both home starts at Yankee Stadium. In those 2 starts, he's lasted a combined 9 1/3 innings, giving up 13 hits, 6 runs, 5 earned. You would say, 2 games. But that was the story all season long. During the regular season, Cole struggled at home. 3-2, 4.31 ERA over 9 home starts. So a little worried about Cole being home. Flaherty gets traded at the midpoint of the year. And the Yankees actually one of the teams that were looking to take him. They were a little worried about his back issues he was having. It looks as deeper as the season went. Flaherty lost a little something. What has he got left at this point? Now, he pitched a good game, solid game in game 1 when he matched up against Cole. 5 1/3 innings, 2 runs. But now 4 postseason outings. He's just 1-2 with a 6.10 ERA. Only 1 quality start. That was the gem that he pitched against the Mets. Cole obviously gets the pitching advantage in this one. Another do-or-die game. A little bit of a lean to the Yankees, but not laying the price. And that's my World Series breakdown, guys. We're always monitoring stuff. For the guys that don't know, you'll always see me looking at, here's what I'm doing. I'm monitoring all the lines from all the major offshore sports books and casinos throughout the world. And there's your NBA page. And obviously, I can hit your NFL. You see a little movement here on the Commanders. Not actually going off the 3.5, but making you pay a little extra for the juice. The Detroit Lion game is going down. This game, this is the Bet Online opening numbers, but don't pay attention to the pick. That was before Sunday's games. Obviously, when Love gets hurt, this number jumps up. So Love looking to play is what's got this number coming back down. And here's my baseball page. Now, as I could show you, you see Pinnacle. My 2 first sports books, guys, you can see it there. This is the Bet Online opening line. So that's their opening line. And then this is your Pinnacle and Bet Online. There's my first 2. These are your 2 key sports books that I want to pay attention to. And if I hit the last, you can see where the numbers were. So those numbers are ticking up a little higher. Pinnacle was 141, Bet Online was 140, and now they've each ticked up a couple of pennies. And that's why I don't need to look Action Network to find what percent of the bets are on this team and how much the money. I've been reading this computer for years. I read it like I can read a book. I know every single move. So I'm leaving it up to you guys. We can talk about a couple of NFL games. We could talk about some college. Let me know. Earth to God says, Yankees was definitely supposed to take game 1. Series should be tied. We'll see. Allie, do as much. I think Yamamoto wins the final game for the Dodgers in L.A. So you're predicting, I guess, a Yankee win tonight and then them bringing it back there. We'll see. All I can tell you is this. The networks, Major League Baseball, everybody wants more games because this series is exploding. And as you would imagine, not only here in the United States, because you got the both coasts, New York and LA, these are your 2 major markets. But because of Ohtani, Japan is all over this World Series, so they're breaking all kinds of records. So for you conspiracy theorists out there, yes, Major League Baseball wants another game. Actually, they want to see a 7-game series. Dodgers lost the game yesterday to win at home. Ha ha. Well, that would be the conspiracy theorists. Obviously, you want to stick the fork in. Never want to give somebody a second chance. You got a guy down on the floor, pounding ground. You don't let that guy up. Continue to pound him. Finish the fight. That's what the Dodgers are going to want to do today. Again, Cole has to get the pitching advantage. Since I've got nobody that I could see asking about what they want to talk about, we'll talk about a couple of the NFL games. Let's talk about that Washington Commander game that I just told you, line going to 3.5. Hey, they're coming off maybe one of the most exciting wins you're going to see. The last-second Hail Mary against the Bears to propel themselves to go into Giants Stadium. I would love to bet the Giants in this spot. Washington beat the Giants in week 1. So week 1, for my Mass Edge members, if you remember, we took +3 on that game. That game closed Washington 1 or 1.5. That game fell 3. That was the game we lost our kicker and couldn't kick extra points or field goals, and that's what blew the game for us. The Giants would have at least not lost by 3. So while we didn't lose, we got to push. Prior to that game, Giants had won. Giants were 3-0-1 in the prior 4 meetings, covering all 4 meetings. This is always a tough series, and it always seems always worth taking the points. Can I take the points in this spot? I can't. You've got Giants playing on a short week, coming off Monday night. 3 straight losses now for them. Haven't covered any of the 3. So to me, I want to bet the Giants, but I can't. My number says it should be even a little bit higher. But again, a little tough spot for Daniels and Washington to come in after that thrilling last-second win. Now, a couple other games that are moving. Rams at Seahawks. Rams have won 5 of the last 7 meetings, 6-1 against the spread, including both last year. Rams look like a different team with both wide receivers back. They get Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua back last week. They just look like a different team against the Vikings. They've had extra time. Remember, they played on Thursday, so a couple of extra days rest. Seattle, Metcalf questionable. He didn't play last week, so he's questionable. Jared versus a monster. Rams might win that division if they stay healthy. Well, what we once thought was just a no-brainer that 49ers would win the West. I mean, we've seen the problems that the 49ers get. Now, they're on a bye week this week. They're hoping to get McCaffrey back after the bye, so we'll see how that all shakes out. But the Rams, solid, and that offense can score. I like what it's doing. Look, you got a guy Stafford there that's been there. Williams, the running back. He's a solid running back. They've definitely got a solid team. Seattle, we bet against them last week. Bet Buffalo -3 against Seattle. I'm not as impressed, and certainly when you don't have DK Metcalf on the squad. For my Master Edge members, one game I want to talk about is the Jacksonville at Philadelphia game. And in this game, if you just strictly go by my ratings, I've only got the Eagles rated 4.0 points better at home than I do Jacksonville. But Jacksonville has already lost Kirk. We're waiting to see the kid Thomas, the top wide receiver. They just got rid of Cam Robinson, the left tackle, although they basically thrown to the bench. Jacksonville, is it over for them after this last loss? Green Bay, they're on their way up, playing better ball each week. Remember, we were on them. If you're a Mass Edge member, you know we took them at Cincinnati. They buried Cincinnati, so they've got room to go up. Since Philly's rating will get better, remember, you've got Goddard, the tight end, did not play. Becton did not play. Who else am I missing? I'm missing somebody else. Mailetta is already on the IR. So those guys, while their names are not on the injured list, it's taken into account that they're also, that affects their rating. Remember, the NFL injury list is this long. So I only put really key guys, quarterbacks, main wide receivers, running backs, or top-notch defensive guys like Hutchinson, Detroit, Micah Parsons for Dallas, game changers. I don't put every little guy in, but you add in, like I said, a couple, especially when it's a few offensive linemen, that's going to change a team. There is a bunch of functions on X. Elon got this shit jumping. Okay, Brandon, I'm still going to be learning them. If anybody's got any suggestions, put them in the comments. And again, comments, guys, this is for you guys. If there's something that you want, just tell me what you want, and we'll go over it. One more interesting game that I see. The Colts have had enough. of Anthony Richardson after he said he was tired and he needed to take a break. I just can't even believe, why is he even on the team after that? I'd void his fucking contract and kick him in his ass. But they're going to go to Joe Flacco. Fucking Joe Flacco getting it done. Couldn't believe he was getting it done last year at Cleveland. He comes to Indianapolis. Richardson get hurt. He's playing better ball than Richardson. It's not even a question of it. It's not even a question. The Colts are better with Flacco, and they'll be better this week. Great matchup with the Vikings. Vikings, they've had the extra couple of days to prepare. Again, remember, they played against the Rams on Thursday night. Rams should get Hawkinson, the tight end, back. Joe Flacco is elite, says my man Ginger. Joe Flacco just keeps getting it done. Like I said, there's no question he's one of the top 32 quarterbacks in the NFL, and now he's replaced Richardson. And it comes at a perfect time. Colts get healthy last week. It was another team that we bet. We take the back door, but you're supposed to get a back door once in a while when you got a dog. So we catch the back door against Houston with the Colts. Jonathan Taylor comes back. They get some defensive guys back. Buckner, E.J. Speed, nice little spot for the Colts last week. How do they do up in Minnesota? I like their chances a lot better now that Joe Flacco is going to be the quarterback. Is Minnesota starting to dip? Many started nice. They lose a tough game a couple of weeks back. Detroit kicks a field goal as time expires. Then they have a Thursday night quick turnaround and lose to the Rams. Sam Darnold's getting shit done that I've never seen, and I watched him when he was here with the Jets quite a bit. So can't be a believer in Sam Darnold right now. That game right around where I think it should be. I don't have an NFL bet yet. Anyway, guys, what do we got? Does anybody want a question answered or any kind of statement you want to make? Now is the time. Again, guys, this show will be done for you to give you guys the best sports betting information you can get. So you let me know what you want to know about, and we'll talk about it. It's also the spot. I like to go by trends, guys. Any college leans? Ali, good question. Colleges look really tough this week. I will tell you the couple of games I'm looking at. And one of the games I'm looking at is maybe one of the ugliest games on the board. Northwestern at Purdue. Northwestern sucks, but Purdue is, as bad as you can get. Still waiting to see if they're going to bring the quarterback for Purdue back. Card, he missed the last game, and Purdue did have a bye last week. But I got to make Northwestern a little bit more of a favorite than just 1 point. So that's a little bit of a lean there. Let me just see what else I marked off for you guys. Oh, want to jump back to my Massa Edge members. So, guys, ratings change. I kind of like Florida with the points against Georgia. Tough game. I'm 16.5, and if you're a Massa Edge member, use both road ratings. Remember, that's a neutral field. The Florida-Georgia game, a neutral field, much like Texas-Oklahoma. They play that same game every year. It's like a neutral field. But anyway, getting back to what I wanted to say, the ratings change. The ratings are good now, but as information becomes available, we change the ratings. So Arizona State, Levitt, the quarterback, missed the last game, and we had the ratings with him out. Well, now he's in. Now that I know he's in, we put Arizona State's rating back with him. So even with Levitt's rating in, I've got OK State. It's Arizona State at OK State. I've got OK State still a 2.4 favorite. But Arizona State is coming off a bye, so they get a little extra there. And Oklahoma State, the running back Gordon led the country last year. He's questionable, and that's a big number right there. So that's what we're keeping our eye on. So when you guys see a bigger gap than shouldn't be with the ratings, know that there's a reason for it. That's one of the reasons in that game. And as I was explaining in the NFL, the reason for the Jacksonville-Philly ratings. Pittsburgh and SMU, another ACC game that I'm looking at. You've got quarterbacks on both sides with question mark. Pittsburgh, Holstein, questionable. SMU, Jennings, questionable. So we can go either way with that game depending on which quarterback plays. Injuries, quarterback injuries, guys, in college, for the most part, much bigger than injuries in the NFL. Again, it depends on the quarterback. A couple that aren't as big will be Penn State. I got Ohio State at Penn State. And first, let me start by saying Ohio State has won the last 7 meetings, but just 2-5 against the spread. So my ratings have Ohio State a little higher than the number. And then we've got the quarterback, Allah, questionable. He left the last game. But Prabula came in that game and played really well. So I'm not going to, if even Allah is out, I'm not going to make that the drop-off dramatic. I'm hoping to see Allah announced in. If that game goes under 3, it's got to be Ohio State for me. When you own a team, you own a team. Just getting a note here, actually, Richardson benching indefinite. So Joe Flacco's the Colts quarterback for the foreseeable future. Let me see what other games are moving. Let me take a quick peek at the colleges. Okay, Iowa State, Texas Tech. Their quarterback, Morton, he was questionable. He left the game against TCU this weekend. Texas Tech was up in that game. Morton leaves. TCU comes back, wins that game, I believe, 35-34. But Morton's back at practice. He'll be back. Morton, one of the better quarterbacks in the country. And with him, Texas Tech has got an offense. They've got a real offense. One of the best, I believe, 20th ranked in the country. And you've got that running back, Brooks. That's a solid offensive unit for Texas Tech. A lot of points there. But again, Iowa State, they had to buy. They're one of the top teams in that conference. You're looking at K-State, Iowa State, Colorado up there too, and even BYU. The Arizona State game is actually hitting 3 now. So we'll be keeping an eye on that game. If that line moves to a solid 3 or goes over to 3, that's telling me Gordon's out. If Gordon is in for Oklahoma State, I'm going to have to be on Oklahoma State in that game as a home dog. Southern Cal, that game is 3 with the dog money. These are two teams now, Southern Cal and Washington, in the Big Ten. Obviously came from the Pac-12, so you're staying on the West Coast both these games. Southern Cal coming off a big win in their last game against Rutgers, a home win, a badly needed win after dropping 3 straight. Washington, they've dropped 3 of their last 4, and they've dropped each time they've come to the to the real Big Ten teams. Always tough for these teams from the West Coast, the old Pac-12 teams, to come east, whether it's playing Big Ten teams or ACC, when you got like a Stanford going to NC State. NC State, another terrible team, but Stanford, one of the worst teams in the country, and tough for them to make that trip. So on the ratings, we always give an extra point for the home team, whether it's the teams going from east to west or west to east. So just keep that in mind. But big game for them to win at home. They've got to win. They've lost 3 of their last 4, but the one win was a win over Michigan at home at Washington. Remember, that was revenge from last year's college championship. I just think USC's a better team. Washington is a problem team right now, and it looks like all they wanted to do is beat Michigan, and that pretty much will wrap up their season. So I'm just scanning the board here, guys. Anything else you guys would like to talk about? If not, I gave you guys 3 bets today. Okay. I took Pacers plus 7.5. If you look, it's 6.5 everywhere. It's all about beating the number. I gave you guys 76ers minus 3.5. These are the numbers I sent out. Again, I want not 200. I want 200,000 people watching this every day. But unless you remember, you're not going to get the numbers by the time we do this live at 11 o'clock. I've already sent my numbers out at 8 o'clock in the morning. So we get 3-hour lead on the games. Anyway, Pacers plus 7.5. That game is 6.5. Philly, we laid 3.5. That game is a lot of 4.5, but 4 also. And we've got the Pelicans +3, and that game's 2.5. 3 games, 3 line beats. That's what we're going to do. We're going to do that every day, every sport. And again, welcome you guys in. Any other questions before I wrap it up, guys? If not, guys, help me out, okay? Make some comments once I post this on Twitter. We're going to also try to be posting these on YouTube after we're done. I still got my girl B trying to work that out. And if you retweet them, again, next week I'm going to have B set something up where if you retweet it, you use the same name, show us the retweet. We'll check it out, and we'll give you guys a free week, something like that, to get us started on this Twitter. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We're back here tomorrow and each weekday, 11 a.m. Eastern. Let's make some money.